Yes, sir. Episode 14 of the It's Always Something podcast, produced by Hurley and Big Night Media. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the podcast. We're throwing the fucks out the window, though, when it comes to asking for just and reviews.
Even though you just did.
Even though I just did 10 seconds ago, I'm taking it back.
Okay.
No fucks given. We're going reverse psychology. I've had it with asking people to do it. I feel like this is the more honest way to do it. If I'm like, hey, don't subscribe, don't like, don't rate, people are like, you know what? I don't like this asshole. I'm going to do it.
You get spite subscribers.
I get spite subscribers, right? That's just, I mean, haters do follow. You know what I mean? So I need more haters than I do people that actually like me. My name is JD. I lose on average 7 to 9 pairs of socks a year. You just can't microchip them all. Sometimes you just got to surrender them to the game. I am down to my last pair of low socks. All I have is highs, and it's summer. You know?
Yeah.
It's a struggle in these streets. I don't know where they went, man. I legit don't know. But I guess, even angels need some socks sometimes, so we just let them fly. Speaking of games, ladies and gentlemen, our guest today made a living off playing one of them at the highest level. Super Bowl champion running back, family man. He's a papa. He's a rapper. He's a CEO. It's my good friend, Robert Turbin. Hello, Turbo.
That's funny.
You still rapping in these streets? What's the deal?
Questions for you.
Yeah.
Number one, the socks.
Yeah.
Is it one at a time? Is it a pair? I mean, what?
Good question. No, it's one at a time. It's always one at a time.
One at a time.
Yeah, and then I start mixing, matching, and plus one time I threw up a picture of me with my socks on outside on the couch, and I got absolutely ripped to threads because there was a hole in one of them. So, you know what I mean?
I know you was a stock guy like that. I wouldn't take you for that. Secondly,
yeah,
I don't really identify myself as, in my history, there have been times where, I've gone to the studio, you feel me? I put something down on the mic, but I wouldn't necessarily classify myself as a rapper, you feel me? At least not yet. Perhaps I'm working. Maybe I can start working towards that goal as my next career. I don't know.
No, I'm suggesting you not do that. I threw that in as a joke. I suggest you not ever rap ever again. Yeah, man, that was a joke, man. I wasn't trying to give you any kind of serious credit whatsoever on that. Listen,
hold on now. I got a few bars. To me.
I'm not gonna be a yes man to you, bro. I'm not gonna tell you to stop music if that's your art. Some people like throwing paint against the wall. They like watercoloring. You like rapping. I'm just gonna let you kind of do your own thing, bro. It's okay. It's not a big deal.
All right.
Hurley, also, by the way, if you get lost in the conversation as far as there's going to be a lot of bruz, there's going to be a lot of California slang. So if you get confused, just tell me, okay? Because
all right.
I haven't talked to someone from the Bay Area in so long, and sometimes I'll just slip back in my pocket.
I'll keep Google Translate on the ready.
Yes. Yeah. Bay Area to English would be really great. Me and Turbo, we go way back. We went to high school together. We've had some nights out on the town that I hope never resurface on the internet again. We've known each other for a very, very long time. He's one of the most inspirational people I know. Does amazing things for the community, has been doing amazing things for the community, and has an amazing story. And he's one of the first people from my hometown that I can remember that it really got put on, worked extremely hard to get put on a national schedule or a national, what's the word I'm looking for? Like a national platform, making it to the NFL. Rob played for Seattle, Indy, Cleveland, Dallas. Am I missing anybody?
That's it.
And those were all from his most favorite to his least favorite cities. I'm just busting your balls. Hey, how would you describe our friendship to other people, Turbo?
I think it's a dynamic relationship because, in all honesty, when we were in high school together, it wasn't like we were close like that.
Yeah, we didn't kick it.
I mean, you were a grade older than I was. You were an upperclassman, so you had a different kind of group of, friends that you hung out with, and normally that, that's how it goes, right? You kind of kick it with the folks from who's in your class and shit like that. But nevertheless, still friends, kind of noticed, at least from my standpoint, there was always something special about you, even from a distance. Energy, commitment, the way that you handled your business. Even in high school, it was no surprise that you went on, to go to Arizona State, do the things that you did in radio in Arizona, and still continuing to do those things, in Boston. As the years went on, after high school, I think that's where we really got closer. When I graduated college, the first place I went to was Arizona. That's where I trained for the combine at API. It's Exos now. It used to be Athletic Performance API Institute, Athletic Performance Institute API. And so that's where we really got connected, right? You're doing your thing in AZ, DJing, radio. I think you were still going to school at the time.
Yeah, I think I was in my senior year.
This is like 2012.
Yeah. I might have been
So yeah, I mean, you were quick to just, treat me like family. Man, what do you need in the town? What do you want to know? I got to know Arizona because of you. You know what I'm saying? It became one of my main spots because of you, and so that's really where our relationship grew closer, and shit, we brothers now.
What's so crazy is that I remember where I was. I was at some gas station, and this is going to be such a random story. I was at some gas station, and I just remember seeing like a highlight of you from Utah State. And it was like you had broken out one of these touchdown runs, and I went, fuck, Turbo's playing football. That's tight. Like I had no clue. I think that you went to Utah State and you were balling. I had no clue. I think I was DJing somewhere and I was on my way back. I was like, fuck, I got to hit up Turbo. Like, this is ill. And then I was like, yo, whenever you're, and then I realized, yo, actually, not only is Rob good at football, he's coming here for the combine. Oh, so he might get drafted. Like, I had no clue. And that was just, that was so dope to see. And so obviously you put in a lot of work behind the scenes. Let's talk football off top, because when you you
graduated before I did, you know what I'm saying? So you wouldn't have.
I don't know what are you trying to get at, that I'm old?
And shit already. So you focus on what you got going on.
That's right. I thought you were making an old comment there, but let's talk football off top. So a lot of people, sometimes when they think of Rob Turbo, they're thinking of that pic from the combine where your biceps are the size of a fucking wrecking ball. You know what I mean? And my first question is, how long was that your online dating profile pic? And number two, what's the best comment you've ever received, like, that made you laugh when that photo came up? Because it'll come up every so often, especially around the combine, of this ginormous picture of Rob, like, yoked out of his mind. What's the best comment you've gotten that, like, made you giggle?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I've seen so many different things, so many different memes, from that. And that was before memes was even a thing, and so many different, like, hilarious memes and things that people made up from that. I'll tell you this right now. You go to college, if you go to college and play a sport, JD, you're going to get swole. Like, it's just like, it's automatic. As far as the dating profile is concerned, I just walk in and, it's good for me. I don't really need, I don't know about what you got going on in your life, perhaps.
Nothing.
What you mean. But for me, it might be a little different. But when I was drafted, after I was drafted to Seattle, someone hit me on Twitter, and this trend started going around, hashtag the Seahawk. I thought that was interesting because it was something I never heard before. It was different. I gotten the, who's the dude off Friday or White Chicks, the dude from White Chicks, super buff.
Terry Crews.
I got the Terry Crews before, a bunch of different jokes, but that one was new, was interesting to me, and it kind of stuck. So I'm gonna go with that one. I got the, like, what are you gonna do when this guy walks in, talks to your girl. Like,
yeah,
got that one. That was pretty funny because my personality is not like that. You
right,
know, it's
right.
like I'm super chill. So it's like I wouldn't even disrespect a situation like that. But a bunch of different funny memes over the years for sure.
And
from that photo.
That's ill because you let fans make brands for you, and that's what I love about sometimes about the entertainment industry is that sometimes you don't need to come up with anything. Sometimes the fans will do it on accident, and then that could be your forever brand if it's something really, really dope. You know what I mean? So Sea-Hulk is actually kind of cold. I fuck with that.
I fuck with it too.
What made you so motivated? Because to make it to that level, and I say this with all due respect, you have to be kind of a special kind of crazy as far as your commitment and your regiment to make it to somewhere like the NFL, I would imagine. So what is your biggest sacrifice that you had to make on a daily basis or just in general in your life to pursue that NFL dream, to do football professionally?
That's a good question. And this might be a little bit long-winded because you asked a couple questions within that, things that had to sacrifice, stuff like that. You know, as you know, I grew up with I have a pretty serious demeanor, you know, and for some people they took that the wrong way. But my heart was always pure. And it really just came down to a choice. It was a decision I had to make. And I knew once I made that choice, there were going to be some sacrifices that I would have to make along the way. You know, I wouldn't have as much fun as the next person during my adolescent years. And I wouldn't go out. And I may not have as many friends, you know, and things like that along the years. And I knew that those were possibilities, but none of those trumped the ultimate goal, which was to play in the NFL and be the best that I could possibly be. And that choice came a little bit after my 8th grade year. A lot of people don't understand when I was young, and really my motivation and inspiration came from my household. My dad, you have my dad, who was this staple of the home, was up at 4 o'clock in the morning every day, wasn't home until 10 o'clock, 10:30, 11 o'clock, you know, worked his ass off, man, to keep everything stable, afloat, was a pastor. So very, and we're talking about an old school cat, real old. I mean, my dad had me, I think he was like 36, right? So, you know, he kind of had me later in his life than I mean, that's probably the norm nowadays, but in his time, that wasn't necessarily the norm. And I was 11 years apart from my next closest sibling. So it was kind of random for my mother and father, you know, for me after I was born. But he was the staple. He always set the example and the foundation. We went to church, you know, he had a very you know, strict personality, but loose at the same time. He allowed me to, you know, be a kid, be a teenager, go out, have fun, make mistakes, understanding ultimately what was the most important. But my inspiration came from my household. You have my dad, like I mentioned, who was a staple. My sister was born with a severe form of cerebral palsy. So she was always the most important person in the home simply because she couldn't do anything for herself. And I had to grow up very, very quickly. I had to, you know, change diapers and feed and bathe and, you know, wash at the ages of, you know, as young as 8 years old. You know, I had to start doing that. Pick her up, put her in the chair. I think at that time I wasn't strong enough, but when I got strong enough to do it, put her in the chair, lay her down, you know, and she had a severe form, like I mentioned. So she could only laugh, cry, make noise. I mean, it was almost like having a 20, 30, you know, year old baby, basically, that you're just constantly taking care of, whose life expectancy was only 5 years, and she lived until she was 39. And my dad, you want to talk about sacrifice? I mean, he basically dedicated his entire life to her. She couldn't travel, get on the plane. So, you know, my dad went places sometimes, but for the most part, he had to make all of his decisions based on Tiffany, you know. Then there was my brother, my older brother, who was like, I mean, anybody who has an older sibling that's the same sex is like, I don't know. They're like, my brother couldn't go anywhere without me trying to follow him. And he was a lot older than me too. But my brother had you know, he was a street dude. You know, that's just the way he came up, you know. And he had issues, obviously, within himself, drugs and things like that. You know, did a lot of jail time and things like that. And you know, came around every so often. But when he did, it was like, you know, I was attached to his hip as much as possible. And my household was kind of crazy, you know, as much as like I love my brother and everything like that. Because of his issues, you know, there would be certain things that would go on when he did come home. Things would come up missing, right? You got random people coming into the house, police even, you know. And so, but I love him very much. But that was that, you know. And then my oldest sister, she passed away when I was really young. I was 6 years old. She had MS, right? So I never got to spend a whole lot of time with her. But the one fond memory I do have of her was, I can't remember if it was my birthday or Christmas. I remember we went over to Lucky's. This is on Stevenson Boulevard over there by Kennedy. And before it changed to Albertsons and then went back to Lucky's, she bought me like this Jeep, you know, those little, what do you call those little cars for
like a Hot
kids?
Wheels?
Power Wheel.
Power Wheel,
Jeep,
all right.
Right? That was like my favorite all-time toy. You know what I'm saying? If we want to call it that. I rode that thing everywhere, you know, and that's the last fond memory that I have before she passed. And there were many people that came and went within my household. My uncle, I remember being in like the fourth grade. All of a sudden, my uncle were picking up this guy from the hospital. Turns out to be my uncle. And he ends up living with us throughout my entire life. For people who knew where I lived and where I grew up, they would always see this guy outside doing the yard, planting flowers, things like that. That was kind of his thing, gardening. That was my uncle. But my uncle also had an issue as well. And so here I am every day that I go home, there are these issues in the house that I'm surrounded by all the time. But the staple is my father. And that's really where my motivation came from. I woke up one day saying, I don't want to be in my 30s and 40s and be like these people. Even though they're my family, I love them. But I'm using it as an example. I'm using their lives. I'm taking their lives and the choices that they made in their life and saying and asking myself, do I want to be like that? Do I want to be in my 40s living with my brother on dope? I mean, just being real. And I love my uncle. My uncle is my best friend. My uncle and I, we would stay up all night watching Dexter's Laboratory. That was his show. That was like his favorite cartoon. It wasn't like my favorite, but I mean, you know, as a young kid, you know, I'm down to watch some Dexter's
I'm not going to
Laboratory.
judge you for watching Dexter's Laboratory. It's okay, man. You're fine. You're comfortable in your own skin, man.
I feel you. But,
yeah,
you know,
you had a
kid,
self-awareness,
you know,
right?
Right. You know, and we chopped it up about a lot of things. You feel me? And nobody is perfect. I'm not. Me and my uncle, we still close today. You know, but these are the things that were constant in my home, and there were people constantly, you know, coming to live with us with these issues. Now you got to remember, my dad was a pastor, so he's always of the mind of helping others.
Very welcoming.
And I have a lot of that too.
I can understand.
So
that,
when someone had something going on and they needed a place to stay, it was always our house. Now on the outside, obviously people not gonna know that when I go to school, I got this serious demeanor. You don't know that I'm at the house. I got like 2, 3, or 4, dope fiends, and there's shit going on every day. You know what I'm saying? I come home, it's just crazy.
So your motivation was to almost stay out of it, right? Am I
100%?
Okay.
And put myself in a position to be able to give back and help as well, just in a different way.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But for me, I didn't want to be like anybody. I get it. When it came to like partying and dating and doing a whole bunch of, it was cool. I mean, like that's normal for, somebody who's an adolescent in high school. You went through the whole puberty and shit like that. But for me, I didn't care. I did all of that already. That's what people don't understand. See, I made this decision after my 8th grade year. But before that, as a youngster, like 13 and 14, you got to understand, people in my family were always older. My next sibling was 11 years. Cousins and things like that lived with me, similar, 8, 9, 10 years older than I was. So I kicked it with them. So I'm doing a whole lot of things as a 12 and 13-year-old that normally a 16, 17, 18-year-old would be doing. So when I was in high school, it was like, man, I kind of felt like
you kind of saw the future. You know what I mean? You're like, listen, I can see the finish line here. I know where this is going sometimes in a lot of those life situations.
Right. So yeah, so I did a lot of things at a young age that, a normal 12, 13, 14-year-old wouldn't necessarily do. Go to, went to 18 and up clubs a couple times, did the parties, high school parties at that, because that was my influence. That's who I was hanging around with within my household and my family. So when I made the decision to say, you know what, I'm gonna give my life to God. I'm gonna live right. I want to do this football thing and take it serious. So I'm not gonna drink. I'm not gonna smoke. I'm not gonna worry about, dating girls. Those things aren't going anywhere. And I understood that at a young age. And I always, thought to myself, like, man, I want to be able to do those things on a bigger level anyway, rather than settling for this on a small scale. Always thought big, always thought about what was quote unquote not possible. Miss Palos told me to be realistic about the goals that I had in my life when I told her that I wanted to be an NFL player.
Name drop, dog. Well, you got a name drop, bro.
I did name drop because it's JD. That's why. On any other show, I wouldn't name drop. But this is you and me right now.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? This is, you feel me? So, and it was those things that played into my inspiration. And so I wanted to be different. My dad always told me not to be afraid to be different. He also, one of the things that I learned in church also was like, listen, when you do commit to this kind of lifestyle, people are going to judge you. They're going to think that you're just this goody two shoes and you're just better than everybody. And that wasn't the case for me at all, man. I was just trying to be the best that I could possibly be and achieve the goals that I set out for myself. And like I said, like I mentioned, that came from everything that I saw in my household. I wanted to be different than that. And so I committed.
I have a question, and answer it semi-quickly. Were you scared? Did fear play a little bit into that, where you were scared you might end up like your brother and you're like, I will do anything I can to not end up in this situation? Or people that were around you, you were like so fearful that you might become that person that you're like, I have to do everything I can to not do that?
Yeah, no, I wouldn't classify it as fear. I wasn't fearful about ending up being like anybody else. just didn't want that. And that's all I saw within my household, you know, just like kind of going with whatever. This, you know, this is the life. This is like the way it is. And I just had a different outlook than that.
Got you. Let's go to some more of the successes that you had in the NFL. You know, I've been fortunate enough to go to both the Super Bowls that you were a part of. The first one was in New York, where people were literally in New York begging you to go to that game. And I'm talking about like begging spectators to go to the show, to go to the Super Bowl, because it was so fucking cold, dude. It was in New York, and this was when the Seahawks played the Broncos. And I remember watching on the news in New York, because I was living in Boston at the time, and I just remember I remember they were like, yo, on your seats, you know, there'll be gloves and, you know, a seat pad and like this Super Bowl package, right? Because they just wanted people to go to the game. And a lot of people don't understand that, you know, players have to pay for tickets to like the Super Bowl. It's not like you can just ask, be like, hey, yo, like you play for the team, like you should be, everyone gets 2 free comp tickets. Nah, like the players got to come out of pocket. And so I think it was so cold in New York. I think I paid maybe like $1,800 to go, which if you've ever looked up tickets for the Super Bowl, it's fucking like 10 grand to go.
It's a steal.
It's a steal, right? And so I remember it was a blowout game. No need to talk about the game because it was just out of control. And I remember walking out of the stadium. And like, you have to remember, like in my mind, I've seen how hard Rob has worked. And then I also have a friend who's in the fucking Super Bowl. Like, how ill is that? Like, that's the illest thing ever. I'm not missing it. I can only speak for myself. And I remember, you know, so Rob has won the Super Bowl. We're on our way out. I run into Macklemore at the height of his career. He's a huge Seahawks fan. We're sitting on the bus together. Do you remember? Because I'll tell you my version of the after party, and then you can tell me your version of the after party. It was...
I don't remember.
I'll tell you, because I remember it was at Marquee, right? It was at Marquee in New York. And I remember this was the most packed club to this day I've ever been in my life. Rob plays for the Seahawks, and there were so many fucking people in this club that the waitresses were like, yo, all the tables are sold from, you know, obviously the big head honchos who are in town, blah, blah, blah. And they're in it for money at the end of the day. They don't give a fuck. We had our table on the stairs, G. Like, we were on the stairs. It was ill. So they were like, you can have these 5 stairs. We're sitting there, and we got bottles. Drake was DJing. I remember Bow Wow being there. I remember
this night.
Who
was there.
Who?
Meek was there.
Meek Mill was there. I mean, everyone was there. And
and we had a table.
Did we have a table?
You know, we had a table. We were going to the table, realized the table, I mean, it was there, but it wasn't there.
They just gave you the stairs, JD.
No,
they had a table.
No. Now I remember. Yeah. And I think we were like, there's no fucking way we're going over there.
There's no way we can stand over here.
Right.
Period.
Right.
So that's when the waitress said, you know, look, there's some open space. We just went, we got our little 5 little it was perfect.
And it was the best.
Bottles right there.
It was the best.
You feel me? Like, and it still was an epic night. My nephew went. The best part about it, and this is random, but my nephew at the time, I adopted my nephew when he was 12. So this was like my 2nd year in the league. So basically the same year we went to the Super Bowl. So here we are. My nephew probably just turned 13 with us in New York City. They don't ask. They're not asking any questions at the door. Nothing. We just walked straight in. I got my nephew with me. He 13 and shit. We in the club, you know what I'm saying? Bottles. It's crazy. It was an epic night, bro.
I do not recall bringing a minor with me in the club, so I will not recall in court. I do not recall. I'm pleading the 5th. I don't remember.
He ended up leaving. He ended up going. He ended up leaving.
Praise Jesus.
He ended up going back. But the fact that he was able to get in
is mind-boggling. Yeah,
it was like, bro, you can't,
It was a zoo.
But see, that's the thing. It goes back to what I was saying. Like when I was I'm telling you, when I was 13, it's like that was like nothing new out of the ordinary for me. It was super chill. So for me, I wasn't tripping. We just won a Super Bowl. I just adopted my name. I haven't even had him for an entire year yet. You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
And it was just an epic night, bro.
I know.
I do remember going to Marquee after.
Yeah,
New York City instantly became one of my still my favorite city in the States to this day.
It was such a blur. And the other Super Bowl that Rob was a part of was against the Patriots. I record the show here in Boston. I live here in Boston. I lived in AZ at the time, and Rob actually surprised me with tickets to go. And I'm not sure if I've ever told you the story about how we were walking in, and there was a dude from Florida, and we were literally, Rob, we were across the street, and a dude pulled out a bag of 10 or 15 racks, $10,000 in cash, and was like, I came here from Florida, and I just, I've been wanting to go to the Super Bowl my whole life, and here's like a bag of cash. Like, where are you sitting? And I'm sitting next to Rob's agent. I'm sitting next to Rob's dad. I'm like, but it's $10,000 cash. Like, could I split it with Rob at the end and just be like, I had to do this, right, G? Like, I had to. Did I ever tell you that someone offered me that, like, the bag? Okay. I feel better.
It was recent. Like, it was like maybe a year ago. You just told me this.
Should I have taken the money? Should I have taken the money?
100%.
Fuck, man.
There's no doubt in my mind that's dirty 100%. Money, though.
No. I'm going to keep it real. I'm going to keep, obviously, I surprised you with tickets and shit like that. You my boy. We in AZ. We in AZ. You feel me? As many times as I've been at AZ and you done plug me, it was only right for me to do that. And we're in the hometown for you,
right,
me at the time.
Right.
But bruh, 10 bands, 15 bands, whatever it was, cash for one ticket.
For one ticket, yeah.
Bro, I think I understand what you were thinking at the time. And I don't know. I was younger. I was 23. Maybe I would have. I don't know. I think I would have understood that. I would have understood.
I would have given up our friendship for $10,000. I feel like it's fair. Plus, I already been to one. Right. Like, Rob just reimbursed me from the last one, so call it even. Call it even, man. No. So this was one of the most epic Super Bowls. It was the one for the ages. It's the one that, other than the 28-3, the Patriots fans will tell you this is like the most incredible one. And unfortunately, you were on the other side of it. It was when the Seahawks had an opportunity to go back to back. Did it make it a little easier to lose the second one, knowing that you lost or that you won the first one? And answer this question though. What were your feelings when Malcolm Butler intercepted?
Yeah, to answer your first one, there's no moral victories. It's never easy to lose. And I'm the type of person, if you know me, I mean, you've even told me to my face, it's ridiculous how competitive I am. It's just in me. If I can slice your throat and watch you bleed all over the floor, that's exactly how I've always approached the game, period. So I don't want to go 1-1 in the Super Bowl and feel like, at least I got one. I mean, thinking about it now as you're transitioning into retirement, yeah, it's like, at least I got one. But in the moment, hell nah. I'm trying to, we're trying to get the sweep. You know what I'm saying? Especially like that. If we would have lost by 21 or some shit, it's like, well, chunk it up. But to lose on the 1 yard line is hard.
Your thoughts when Malcolm Butler intercepted?
When we broke the huddle, I mean, the play before Marshawn goes for 8 or 9 yards, basically down to the 1 yard line. So as an offensive player, obviously I'm thinking we're probably going to run it again. So when we break the huddle and I see Russell and Marshawn line up in the shotgun, I'm like, okay, all right. We're about to run read zone. And for those who don't know what read zone is, it's basically you're in the shotgun, running back is next to the quarterback. The quarterback has the option to either hand it off to the running back or pull it and run around the corner, right? Run around the edge, right? And obviously that's going to be dependent on what the defensive end does because it's a read play, okay? So, but I won't get into too detailed with the X's and O's. But when he snaps the ball and he pulls up to throw it, I mean, it was just like time could have literally paused in that moment because you're just thinking like, what is like, I would have bet all my money, bro, that we were running the football in some way, shape, or form. Bro. The fact that he pulled up his elbow, bro, was getting ready to throw the ball, that in itself, before the ball even got thrown, that in itself was like, oh shit. And then the oh shit actually really happened. And we go home losers, bro. You know what I'm saying? And the turn up in Arizona just
was a little different. Yeah, it felt a little different.
I know what Arizona has to bring to the table, bro.
I know.
It's very, very undercover.
Right. That's very true. It's very true. Is there
go ahead. And it ruined it, bro. It in a lot of ways it ruined the night.
It ruined it. Is there
in a lot of ways, bro.
Oh, I know. We'll talk about that. Is there something about that day or moments after, maybe quietly, I'm not asking you to give up locker room talk, but something that people would be surprised?
Let me tell you some shit. Let me go back to the huddle. Russell comes in, and this, because Marshawn has shared this story before, him and I have talked about it. Russ doesn't like to talk about it that much. He don't like to talk about it that much. When Russell goes in and calls the play, it was kind of weird, bro, because even me on the sideline, like talking to other guys now who were on the team, it's crazy how we were all thinking the same thing, but just not saying shit. We're like, what's taking so long for them to break the huddle? You know? It's like, let's go.
Because everyone's asking, are you sure? Are you? Yeah, right. Go ahead.
So what's going on is Russell goes in and calls the play. It's a pass play, obviously. So everybody in the huddle is kind of looking up like, huh? Looking at Marshawn, And I guess apparently Marshawn is just like, what the fuck y'all looking at me for? You know what I'm saying? Like, what y'all want me to do? And you got to understand something too. Russ, in his third year, like sometimes it takes a little while for a quarterback to say, fuck that play. We're going to do this. Fuck with coach. Russ always has so much respect for the coaches, and you know what I'm saying? So he just didn't have that kind of personality to be like, this is some bullshit. We're not going to run this play. So they're looking at Marshawn is just like, bro, what the fuck y'all want me to do? Ready, break.
Yeah.
And everybody else is just like, all right, break. And so it was just fucked up from the jump. You know what I'm saying? That's what a lot of people don't know. Like in the huddle, it was already fucked up because everybody's like, bro, what the fuck is this? Why are we even running this play? Think about approaching the line of scrimmage in a game, and your mind is like, why are we running this play? On the most critical time of the game, like winning or losing time right here, period. I mean, it's second down, but still, so it was fucked up from the jump. In the locker room afterwards, could have been a movie. I mean, it could have been the greatest reality show of all time. Seriously. It could have been. I don't want to bust too many people out or anything like that. But I mean, it doesn't even matter now. It's over. But it was crazy, bro. Like the personalities really showed. For me, I'm a little bit of a sore loser. I used to have this really aggressive go off on people personality. By the time I got to the league, I really calmed down on that. But first thing you notice is Marshawn walking around the locker room, literally laughing out loud. Oh, you mad? You mad, bruh? You mad we lost, bruh? Oh, bruh, y'all tripping, bruh. And I'm like, damn. Then he got Sherm. What the fuck was that, Pete? Like literally calling out the head coach out loud. What the fuck was that? You lost us this game. Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. A lot of cussing, a lot of yelling going on. And think about being like Pete in that situation, bruh. You could just, I mean, you could like.
Everybody knows. Everybody knows. Yeah.
Everybody knows, bruh. It's you and it's the OC. And if you're on defense, you're really upset because you don't have anything to do with the offense. So it's just like, you motherfuckers over there, stupid. You know what I'm saying? And then if you're an offensive player, you know, outside of Russ, you kind of feel the same way. But you got Marshawn literally, bruh, literally laughing like so loud you could barely even talk. And he's asking me like, you mad, bruh? What you tripping off of? Crazy.
Well, was he doing that sarcastically? I'm trying to, I mean, I know that's his like kind of his demeanor, but
it was
he putting things in perspective? Like
definitely, yeah. I think definitely sarcastic. It was sarcasm for sure.
You motherfuckers thought I was gonna run it? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, he definitely to this day he feel like he should have got the ball, you know. And there's a lot of intricate little, you know, nuggets that people believe that go into that. Did they not want Marshawn to be the MVP because of his personality? There was all sorts of different things that were being said in that time that could have been true, could have not have been true. Who really knows? All we know is we caught a pass play and they intercepted the ball and we lost. And it hurt. And guys in the locker room express it hurt. Pete comes in, literally says he doesn't know what to say. And you can't blame him. If I was the head coach in that situation, I wouldn't know how to address the team either. I would have no words. Now, if we run the ball, we get stopped on the 1 yard line. If a receiver drops the pass in the end zone and time runs out, I mean, any other scenario, you may have something to say. But that, where it could go either way, it's a horrible call, man. At the end of the day, whether or not we executed it perfectly, whatever, at the end of the day, bruh, 99% of motherfuckers in the world watching the game. You should have handled. You could have did a fullback dot. You could have did a quarterback, anything like that to keep possession of the ball on second down with a timeout left. You feel me?
Oh yeah.
So or maybe we didn't have any timeouts. I think we actually had used our last timeout the play before. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe we had a timeout left. But yeah, man, it was definitely a movie in the locker room. After that, it was hard to get on the plane. I mean, the plane ride. I mean,
Banana Land.
That was the longest 6 hours plane ride back to Seattle that I have ever ever been a part of. Ever.
I do remember. Appreciate you giving the insight there. I remember, and I'll just tell the story. Yo, Hurley. So we were after the Super Bowl. We get in this van. We're like, we're still gonna party after.
Yeah.
And
we like
so we're in Cam Chancellor's. I guess his party bus, right?
Okay.
And so we're mobbing around spots, and all of a sudden he stops, and he's like, there are two motherfuckers on here, or there are some people on here, there's a person on here that don't belong here, and you know who you are. And I don't remember asking Cam Chancellor if I was allowed to be on this party bus, so I was thinking this whole time, I am fucked. And so I just remember, like, I didn't know whether I was supposed to stand up and you're right, Cam, I shouldn't be here.
Bus is still moving. You just
yeah. And we had just left this one spot in Scottsdale, and a fan got on the bus with us who managed to sneak his way in the near the front seat, and Cam must have turned around and be like, I know you don't belong here, and so I think he was probably wearing a jersey or something, but I remember being scared shitless because I just was like, I know I'm not supposed to be here, Cam Chancellor. I was about to just out Rob, just throw him under the bus. No, Rob got me on. Rob asked me.
Right.
All right, man. Let's do.
That's a historic moment for whoever that was, because I forgot all about that.
Yeah, that's an ill story. Where you sneak onto the bus after. Yeah, it was a different tone, but I think you guys put it in perspective. It was just so interesting to see how athletes react to a moment like that. Where. It's a job to them. It's a profession. Sure, they're very competitive at the end of the day, but it was really interesting to just kind of feel the flow, especially with what had happened and how the game had ended and stuff. Let's do some rapid fire because I definitely want to get into the charitable stuff. What fan base did you hate the most but respected them?
Patriots.
Man, I'm right there with you. The Tuck rule fucking haunts my dreams to the end of time, and I have to DJ next to there all the time.
It took a minute. It took a minute too.
Yeah.
It took a little while, but you had to give it to them at the end of the day.
Yeah, they're ballistic. What is the creepiest thing you've ever seen a fan do or request from a fan? People pull up outside the team hotels. They're camping out there. What is the creepiest thing you've ever seen a fan do?
Let's come back to that one.
Okay. What's the best thing you've gotten from a fan?
Wow. The best thing that I've gotten from a fan was, damn, that's a good question. Because there's some dope ass fans. I tell you what, a diehard fan works at Bentley in Seattle. And he let me drive a Bentley for the season, so that was pretty dope.
Okay, let's put things in perspective to us peasants. The first player you were on the field with or got tackled by that you were like, "Fuck, I'm in the NFL, but this is such a rare space to be in." Who was that player for you?
Yeah, that was. Man, I'm gonna have to keep it at the house, bruh. Navar Bowman and who's the other linebacker the 49ers had for a long time?
I'm a Raider fan, so I don't pay attention to that side of the bridge.
Patrick Willis.
Oh, a monster.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. It was real after that.
After you got hit by him, you were like, "Oh shit."
Well, it was just the fact that these are the guys that I'm lined up against right now.
Bro, you're on the field with Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, all these people, and you say Bowman is the person that gave you your NFL moment?
You know what? Actually, the person who really gave me my NFL moment was somebody who wasn't even on defense. It was Adrian Peterson. My rookie year, we played the Vikings at home. AP was always one of my top 3 favorite backs, and he went off on us, bro. I'm talking about he went off, and I'm like, damn, bro, this shit is dope.
On the other side,
I'm like, this is dope. I'm on the other side, but I'm like, this shit dope.
Yeah,
man. This motherfucking AP really going off. It's crazy.
And you can really see yours, and you can catch yourself sometimes being a fan. Did you catch yourself sometimes being a fan during games?
Yeah, hell yeah. What? Hell yeah.
You tell me, bro.
At the end of the day, this is football, bro.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, we playing football, dog. And these are guys, everybody who comes into the league watched or admired somebody who's still in the league when they get there.
Facts.
So it's like, I wanted to be like AP. I modeled my game a little bit after him, parts of it, the aggressive run style and stuff like that. I picked up on that in college due to the way he ran, you know, so to see it live and in action and shake hands with him after the game was surreal. Even some of the teammates that I had, watching Tom Brady when we played against the Patriots, our rookie year, beating him on the last play of the game, ironically, was dope, bro. Dope.
What'd you say to AP?
Man, I just told him he was my favorite running back, one of my favorite running backs. I admired his game, and I appreciate him setting the foundation for younger guys to come and play.
And he tell you anything? Did you just like, thanks, man, and then you just kept it pushing?
Nah, you know, hey, keep working hard, keep grinding, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, good luck, you know, the rest of the season.
What's the most amount of tickets you've ever had to get for a game?
Like 30, 35.
Yuck. Niners? Niner or Raider game you had to do that for?
Yep, Niners. Yep, definitely.
When artists hear their song on the radio, they say it never gets old. I feel like for athletes, that's Sports Center. Did it ever get old seeing yourself on Sports Center every week, and the coverage that just kind of the hoopla that goes around? Did that ever get old to you? Is that a fair comparison? Old. Like seeing yourself on Sports Center is like a...
It's fair.
Yeah.
No, it never gets old. And a lot of the people will also be like, you know, does it ever get old? People come up to you, ask for autographs, pictures, shit like that. It never gets old, man. This is what I signed up for.
What was I didn't mean to cut you off there. You want to finish that?
No, you good.
All right. What was a nice thing that a player did for you off the field? And we'll talk about the people that come to the charity event that you do in our hometown. But was there someone that did something for you that sticks out, you know, a piece of advice, donated to a cause, you know, something kind of under the radar that you haven't shared publicly?
Yeah. When I re-signed to the Seahawks, okay, in 2019, my sister, who has cerebral palsy, she passed away the same day, okay? And let me just give you a little bit of background between the relationship of myself and Marshawn, okay?
Marshawn Lynch,
when I got to him, because you got to remember, he's a Bay Area dude, so naturally, I admired him as well.
Mm-hmm.
Now, of course, he has a very distinct personality. And in the beginning, we hit it off very strongly. When I was a rookie, we kicked it. I mean, so much so that he would come to my spot. He would come to my spot, and we do, what we doing or whatever. We kicking it, whatever, you know what I'm saying? And I make sure I got some at the house or whatever. You know, it's just what we doing, period. You know, but the fact of the matter is, we had a good relationship. Now, understand, you've reiterated throughout this conversation my work ethic and things like that, right? So I only know one way as far as how to be a great player. How do I know it? Because I've done it and it worked. When I was in high school, you could arguably say I was the greatest of all time. When I was in college, you could arguably say I was the greatest of all time at Utah State, okay? So as a young player in the NFL, this is what I'm working towards. I want to be the greatest me that I could possibly be, whatever that is. And there was a lot of antics that would go on throughout the years that were bothersome for me. I used to have to take on a lot of flack because of some of the things that Marshawn would do, straight up. whether it was with the media, whether it was with the organization, the coaching staff, practice, you know, these things over time got annoying to me. You got a guy who can literally practice whenever he wants to. I ain't grow up with this. I don't give a fuck who you are. You know what I'm saying? At some point, I'm not fucking with this shit. Period. Especially when you got to be the guy taking all the slack. You're the number two. I got to be the leader of the room, the captain, and all of this shit. But then it's not really translating into carries and things like that. So over time, it gets frustrating. You're in training camp. It's hot. You're doing tour days. You got somebody who just decides, whatever today. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like, bro, after a while, I'm not fucking with that shit. You know what I'm saying? So our relationship, probably midway through my second year, started to go opposite ways. You know, I wouldn't talk to him really. We wouldn't really talk to each other. By the fourth year, by year 4, and this has a lot of reason to do why I was cut too. You know, I mean, I hurt my ankle during preseason, but more so, I was kind of fed up with being around like this bullshit here at the organization. And I was like, man, maybe I need to go somewhere else and see what's happening. Because right now, I'm frustrated, and I'm visibly frustrated. I'm walking in through hallways, not talking to people, just walking right by me. That wasn't initially my personality, but that's how frustrated I was. So fast forward to 2019, and there's been times even throughout the years between like 2015 and 2019, he's tried to reach out. We've crossed paths at a spot before, wouldn't say shit. He tried to reach out. I wasn't responsive and shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
I had a friend tell me one day, like, man, you should think about rekindling that relationship one day because of, you know, I mean, he's still a good dude at the end of the day. And he's got a lot of knowledge that he could probably teach you, you know? And so I know this is a little long-winded. I know this is like a fast thing. But anyway, fast forward to 2019, my sister passes away. And ironically, we get signed the same day.
This is in 2019. Right? They had a bunch of the running backs that were hurt, and so they brought both of you guys back.
Right. So I'm like, here we go, man. You know what I'm saying? And quite honestly, another part of it too is, if I'm just being real, I felt like I couldn't excel because it was the first time in my career ever, like my career football life since I was 10 years old, that I had to be in the shadow of somebody else. I've never had to deal with that shit. And I didn't know how, bruh. I really didn't. After a couple years, like at first when you're a rookie and it's okay, and then you're a sophomore, and after that, you're ready to fucking like spread your wings and fly, bruh.
Mm-hmm.
When you're in the shadow, it's hard because, you know, you got somebody who's like, man, he's the best running back I've ever seen, bro. Ever, with my own 2 eyes. So when you're dealing with somebody with that kind of talent who's a future Hall of Famer, it's hard, bro. It's hard to spread your wings. And that part of it was frustrating as well. So fast forward 2019, we get signed. We rekindle our relationship. We talked about a lot of things, bruh. We talked about a lot of things. We talked about things from the organizational side, from the personal side, and we were able to hash things out. Because, you know, it's like, man, listen, we 29 and 30 and shit like that now. That shit don't even matter anymore. You feel me? And he's got a restaurant in Oakland. He shut it down for the day so that my family could have the repass at his restaurant. Free, everything was free. Had his cooks cook everything, had the employees, you know, serve my family and everything like that. Literally closed down the restaurant for the day so my family could do the funeral there. And that was a really, really special thing. Probably the most special thing somebody's ever done for me.
That's ill. That's ill. And I think it's I think a lot of people, I don't think they'd be surprised by how you felt. I think probably any competitor from the outside looking in would probably not be surprised at what you said, but the dynamics of your guys' relationship is actually kind of interesting. And it's got to piss you off that this dude's performing and he's like just pulling up, like ho hum, and then he's going into full beast mode. Yeah. No, I got you.
I'm talking about like, over time, it's like you get the media, they coming up to you.
Right.
But they want to ask about Marshawn because he's not going to talk.
Because he's not saying shit right.
After a while, that shit get kind of annoying, bruh.
No, I got you.
I got to take all of these extra reps because my legs get tired too, bruh.
Facts. I know you're in the gym.
I want to be fresh on game day too.
I got you.
You know what I'm saying?
I got you. No, I'm fine. Tell me how you feel. All right.
I'm telling you, bro. She used to be hella frustrated, bro. Hella.
All right. Last football question. How hard is it to balance the business side of sports? Because I feel at the end of the day, you are in the performance business, and yeah, even if you're a good person, it can still get pretty wild. I would assume you're seeing what's happening with Aaron Rodgers. You're seeing what's happening with Tom Brady. When things are shitty, does like the head coach, the GM come to you and just be like, hey, we're expecting a little bit, we need this productivity, or, we're going to have to kind of hash some things out? Or do they give you a heads up? And when do you feel like when things are going bad for yourself as a player, do you see a difference in how you're treated?
Definitely. That's funny. See, here's the thing. When you get drafted as a rookie and everybody tells you it's a business, it's okay. Truthfully, most of us don't know what the fuck that means. What does it mean? It means I get paid now? That's business? It means I get cut, traded, and all those things that are involved? Is that business? No, it's much more dynamic than that. And you learn that over the years. Now, some people will get it at a younger age because of their surrounding, their core, their team. Maybe they had a parent playing in the NFL or an uncle or something like that. They got good agents and other players that they've been around who are veteran, good leaders and stuff like that. But when an organization is struggling, I believe winning starts from the top down. If you think about it, teams that have great ownership are usually the teams in really all sports that are successful and that are consistently successful as well, regardless of what your roster looks like. The Browns can have a great looking roster, but still go 8-8. Why? Because they don't have great ownership. And it starts from the top down: ownership, management, coaching, then players, right? And it's how you're treating everybody upstairs. All those things, to me, they matter in building a successful franchise. So when things aren't going well, when a franchise isn't going well, you got to look at the start at the top to see how operations are ran, who's running it, how they're being run. That's number one. Individually, to answer your second question, to go back to your first question, if something's not going right with it depends on your relationship. And that's one of the things athletes have to realize. Ultimately, the most important thing is the relationships that you build throughout your career. Everything is about relationship. The reason why coaches have coaching positions and jobs, a high percentage of that is based on relationship. The reason why the reason why Tim Tebow is with the Jacksonville Jaguars is his relationship with Urban Meyer.
That's a great point.
Doesn't have anything to do with his skill level.
Right.
The relationship is immensely important in this business. Usually it's your position coach that'll come up to you and say, hey, I'm just gonna tell you now, you need to step it up a little bit. All right, because of what he's hearing in these meetings that they're having, their staff meetings.
Got you. Okay.
If they're done with you, they won't tell you shit. They'll just lie to keep fucking up. From an individual standpoint, you can feel it, especially as you get older. You become more of a veteran in the league. I'm on the bubble. I'll never forget 2016, my first year with the Colts. We were in training camp. And I had a good training camp, right? We're doing a scrimmage. It was a night scrimmage. It was our final scrimmage of training camp. We're on the 5-yard line. I get the ball. Mike Adams, who was our safety, comes on a blitz on the edge, comes in, boom. And he was famous for this on our team. Punches the ball out, fumble, defense recovers. And I was pretty much the end of my night at the scrimmage. They didn't want to see any more of me. I thought for sure I was getting cut. For sure. Thought it was over. You know, and the worst feeling in sports is when you know, like it's different. Like you can't lie to yourself, bro. You know when you haven't worked hard.
I know.
You know when you haven't put in the extra time.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But when you know you have and you still fuck up, bruh, there's not a worse feeling. There really isn't. There really isn't. So I know it's gonna get, but you can feel like when you're not doing well, you can feel like the energy, it's off. People aren't talking to you the same, or maybe they're not talking to you at all. Or you show up the next day. I've had this happen to me. You show up the next day at practice, and all of a sudden, instead of you getting second team reps or reps with the first team, somebody else is getting reps with the first team. And they don't tell you. They don't tell you shit. You just stand out at practice like, oh damn, it's like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's when you start to feel it. Yeah, no, I got you.
Yeah. So it's a very, very slippery slope. Some coaches will be honest with you. They'll come up to you and say, hey, we want to take a look at another guy. Or, hey, we're going to draft somebody in your position. Whatever the case may be. But majority of the time, man, it just happens.
You feel it, you know it. Yeah, no, I can understand the self-awareness you have to have during that moment, you know, for sure. Before we get out of here, did you finish your Harvard classes here?
I didn't this year.
Fuck, man. When I thought I was going to be able to pull up, you know, and go to Harvard and be like, I know a Harvard alum.
I've only got a semester done. There's so many other things going on business-wise. I haven't been able to get around to finishing my MBA, but I will. It's a goal of mine. So I'm definitely gonna do that.
Yeah, Turbo was taking some courses at Harvard. You know how those big time celebrities, you know what I mean, could just come through, go to fucking Harvard, and you know, overstep the rest of us, of course, you know, in the process.
I wanted to answer your other question though about like a fan that did some crazy shit or something like that. I've had
it didn't have to be like a bedroom experience. It could have been like something PG, man. I wasn't expecting you to tell me the kinkiest shit a fan has done with you.
Asked me like seriously after the game, wanted me to give him my shoes like off my feet, like
that's pretty common.
And it was in a way game. And actually, it like I would have done it, but I didn't have any other. Like my bags were already on the bus somewhere buried. You know, it's just like I don't know. When I think about it now, I'm like, man, I should just gave him my shoes.
I mean, that's such a common thing, man. Shoes, that's happening all the time.
It just caught me off guard.
Yeah, no one wanted you to sign their like pinky toe or like, you know.
Oh man,
do a beer pong with them.
Like titties and all types of shit before. Oh yeah. Oh, that's normal.
That's just normal. Your foundation, Runnin4U. It's such a great charity, and we do a charity event. Well, you do a charity event every year. I've had the fortunate opportunity to be a part of it and MC it every year that it's been around, because I mean it's at my high school, man. It's like gotta give back, right? And I wanted to ask you, one, to just break down real quickly your foundation, and then number two, why do you focus so much on Irvington? Like your high school, whether it's, you've bought cleats for the kids, you've helped out with the weight room. I'm curious as to why you're so specific with Irvington. It's dope. Yeah. It's nothing wrong with it. I'm just saying, like, why focus on them so much?
Well, the Runnin4U Foundation, it is geared towards helping people with CP and MS, cerebral palsy and multiple sclerosis. So I told the story about my sisters both being afflicted with those diseases. And so it's near and dear to my heart. I want to be able to support people as best I can, who have those diseases, as well as youth athletics, because that's my background. That's where I come from. Runnin4U, the reason why I named it that is because I'm a running back. So when I run the ball, I've never ran the ball just for individual, whatever, satisfaction or whatever. I've always ran the ball for others. I'm doing this for me, but I'm also running for you. And so hence the name. Irvington means a lot to me, bro. It's where I come from. A lot of people used to ask me when I was young, why do you want to make it to the NFL? Why do you want to do this? Because one day I want to be able to give back and show people that you can make it too, regardless of your circumstance or where you come from. Irvington, in its 35-year existence, that never had a football scholarship, never, all of these nevers. So therefore, you get into this mindset that it's impossible. Even our team during that time, like, never been to the playoffs, but these things that was before. Those things have nothing to do, with us right now and what we're capable of. You understand what I'm saying?
Yep.
And I've always felt like I would not be in the position that I am in now without A, the guys that I play with and the coaches that coach me, and B, just people in general in the Irvington community, whether they bought candy from me when I was selling fucking Snickers and Skittles and shit for $1, trying to raise money, whether it was just simply coming to the game, whether it was coach picking me up for practice every day, because my dad was at work or whatever it was, what I'm saying? And so I wouldn't be where I'm at today without the Irvington community. So giving back was the ultimate goal and the ultimate plan from the jump, period.
Facts. No, I mean, I don't think I've just ever,
A lot of it has to do, JD, with the fact that I want people to see that as for real. You can see me. You can like I'm still Rob T. You know what I'm saying? Regardless of where I've been, where I've gone, and the things that I've accomplished, I'm coming back to this community in particular because that's where I came. This is where I come from. This is where you are coming from too. So guess what? You can also achieve whatever. Look at you, Jay. You know what I'm saying? The things that you've done in the radio and entertainment business, the people that you've been able to meet, the places that you've been able to go. You know what I'm saying? You've been able to plug me.
Yeah.
Just as much as the opposite.
Yeah.
You feel me?
Right.
And you come from where? Irvington, bruh. You know what I'm saying? And that means something. That's why it was important from day one. I'm like, JD got to MC my event, bro, because this is Irvington. And people should see his success as well, coming from the exact same place.
I agree.
There's still bigger things to do, bigger fish to fry. You know what I'm saying? But to have that mindset to be able to do it and continue to do it and continue to try to raise the level of it, that's the shit I'm talking about, bro. And to bring that back to Irvington so the younger generation can see, I wonder who's the rally commissioner now.
That's real. Right. No, 100%.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That shit matters to me, bro, and that's why.
And I just to kind of piggyback off of that I feel those were some of the best years of my life. So the fact that we're able to give back to somewhere that means so much to us is, and I'll forever always be a part of that, because it's just like, yes, it's like we're still going and still trying to find this success, and still it's someone that they can touch, they can feel, they can be like, wow, dude, this person went to Irvington. Like, that's crazy. I mean, I haven't reached the same success, I think, as you, but I'm on my way. But I think that's so ill of what you've been able to do. And because of who you are, you've been able to get people like Bobby Wagner. You've been able to get people like Russell Wilson, Frank Gore to come to these events because they respect you and they respect your work ethic so much, and you as a
Sierra
person.
this next year.
If we try to get Sierra, you know what I'm saying, for the next one, we'll just put it out in the universe right now. It's going to be next year, so it's going to be really, really dope. And what all of those people that come have in common is, you know, or what they all have in common is they all respect you, the human being, first, and that's the common denominator. So that's actually a testament to your character. Are you retired before we get out of here? Or what's your fucking deal? Are you coming back for it? Because you told me
that's a good question
that you were retiring.
I didn't play last season. I'm gonna keep it real. It's hard. I didn't play last season, but I am still an active free agent, and I would like to play another year. Okay?
So you're gonna go for one more year?
I am gonna go for one more year. I'm still training, but I'm fully and heavily engaged in the off the field stuff. I mean, I got a lot of business stuff going on, but football, I love it, man. I love the game, and it's one of those things. It's a career, sports in general. It's one of those careers that you can only do for so long, no matter what. Even if teams wanted me every year, man, we got to have Robert Turbin on our roster. I could only do that for so long, physically, naturally.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
As an athlete, right?
Regardless of your situation, you gotta go for it as long as you can, until, you know, God says, hey, that's it.
That'll be all.
For real. So
facts.
I am an active free agent, still want to play.
I mean, you can go to Vegas and go to the Raiders. That would be extremely convenient. If you could go to Vegas, I'm going to Salt Bay that out there. I feel like, do we tackle everything? Is there anything that you feel like we missed? Is there one cool thing you could tell everybody about Russell Wilson, the person? Because you guys were so close. You know, I remember Rob telling me that in camp that Russell Wilson was going to be the starter, and they had just signed Matt Flynn. And he was like, I don't know, bruh. This dude Russell's pretty fucking good. And he ended up being the starter. What is one thing that people don't know about Russell, the person?
Russ as a person, bro, he everything. First of all, I want to say, because a lot of people ask me, is this real? This persona that we see
of Russ, TV. Like how he's like, you know, super Russ. Inspiring, blah blah blah.
Yeah. Christian.
Yeah. You're wondering if he's full of shit. You're just wondering about the authenticity of him. Yeah.
Exactly. Because it's over the top. It is a little bit, but it is him 100%. And I've had it's been a blessing being able to know Russ from the beginning. Now he's super pop star, got his black and yellow. First of all, I need the shirt he wore in Italy, that black and yellow one.
Yeah.
I need that. I'm gonna tell him the next time we FaceTime, I need that one, bruh. I need that shirt. That shit was fresh. But before all of that, you know what I'm saying? When he was, you know, it was pure, bruh. You know what I'm saying?
I don't give a fuck about the shirt, man. I understand. None of us can afford it over here. So what is something tight about Russell, the person, that you could tell us about, other than that he can have a shirt that none of us can have?
Yeah, I feel you. Nah, he's bruh, he's just one of the most genuine people that I know, bruh. He's low key super cocky, bruh. People wouldn't, because he comes off as humble and all, but to me, he looked me in my eyes like, bro, these motherfuckers ain't fucking with me. But he said just like that. And you wouldn't even think it'll catch you off guard because you don't even think he cussed like that. You'd be like, damn, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I forgot you even knew how to cuss, bro. But when he get in his mode, bro, he's like, motherfuckers ain't fucking with me. He talking about on the field. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So he really does have like a super high confidence about him that he doesn't really display to he comes off as super humble but
he wants to eat you alive. He's kind of like Steph. He's kind of like Steph Curry. He's like, listen, man.
Exactly.
You still got to be a monster.
Bro,
you have to be a monster,
bro. He wants to really cut your throat open for real.
Damn.
For real.
My guy, Robert Turbin, free agent, Vegas. I know you're listening right now. We need a table in the actual the joint. I'm a Raider fan. Maybe because I want him to be in Oakland still.
I forgot you was a Raider fan, bro. That's why you talking about going to Vegas and shit.
Yeah, bro. Everything it's in it for us. You know what I mean?
So what do Raider fans stand with the squad now that they're in Vegas?
Too short said it's Raider Nation. You know what I mean? So cities don't matter.
Raider Nation.
It's Raider Nation.
I feel it.
So it don't matter. I appreciate you taking the time, dog. I know you always got a busy schedule. Anything you want to add? Anything you want to tell peoples?
Listen, man. Not really.
Not really, man. I feel like that's kind of it.
Donate to the foundation. You can go to it, robertjturbin.com, and donate from there. I got a lot of cool stuff coming up. I've been kind of quiet on social media for a while, getting my ducks in a row. You know, this lifestyle, I wouldn't really call it a lifestyle, but this life, I mean, it from the outside, it may look like roses and sunflowers and shit like that, man. Shit gets hard, bro. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, you still living life. You're going to fuck up. You're going to make mistakes. You know what I'm saying? But it's all about how you respond to the good, bad, the good, bad, and indifferent, bro. Everything in between. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm just trying to be the best that I can be every single day. But I got a lot of cool shit coming up, man. And I just want the people to be ready to see it.
And shout out your socials, even though people can Google it.
Everything is at Robert J. Turbin. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube channel. At Robert J. Turbin.
YouTube channel? What the fuck are you doing on YouTube?
Yeah, I got a YouTube channel, man.
Are you doing pranks in the streets, Turbo? Are you doing pranks?
I got the podcast Turbo Talk is coming back.
Dope.
In August, around the football season, training camp and shit. And so I don't want to put too much out there right now about what's going on, but you're gonna see it. It'll be here soon. But all my socials are the same. At Robert J. Turbin.
Episode 14 of the It's Always Something podcast, Reverse Psychology. I don't give a fuck if you don't subscribe or you don't do any of that. Rate, review, comment, like. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, even though I'm really hoping that you do so. Turbo, thank you, my guy. Keep it trill. Anytime. It's the It's Always Something podcast. Deuces.